Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we've got near enough 60 balance changes to go through. These should be dropping with the update, and a lot of these are subject to change as well. So if you guys have any annoyances with these balance changes, please let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll relay it back to the dev team. So yeah, there definitely can be some changes here, but for the most part, these should be pretty near to what the balance changes should be on the updates. So yeah, updates should be sometime next week by the looks of things. So let's just dive into it then. So we're also giving out this list a little bit earlier because, again, gives us room to change things, but also because it's going to be a challenges event, not this weekend, but the weekend after. So just letting the pro players know in advance early what the meta should look like. Of course, we don't know the buffy brawlers yet, but let's dive into the first buff, and it's going to be with Jaeyoung. Yes, we're getting a buff, and it's actually going to be pretty good. So if you guys were unaware, there was a bunch of changes to the way that speed boosts work and stuff. So what they've actually done, they've added a bit of speed back into his kit with his star power. So when he's close to his teammates with the crowd goes mild star power, he'll get 15% per teammate in terms of boost instead of 10%, which is actually, it feels really fast. So definitely a good buff for Jaeyoung, even though it's only 5%. And his main attack heal increased from 1,000, I think it was like 1,300 around that mark, to 1,500. So again, some good healing there. B is next, and she's receiving 2 buffs. So B, as you can tell by a lot of data and in my videos, that she's just been really underperforming. She's pretty much near the F tier in terms of raw stats. So in terms of her buffs, she's receiving a Rattled Hive cooldown. So it's before it's 24 seconds, now that's being buffed up to 20 seconds, and they are increasing her super damage from 200 to 260. So I think these buffs won't really actually do much to B. In particular, there's actually a bug right now with Rattled Hive. If you guys don't know, sometimes one Rattled Hive gadget will be really good, and then if you're true blue or true red, the other time it's just completely useless and really hard to get any damage. So until they fix that bug, which they're probably not going to just yet, B's just feels a bit meh. Ziggy is getting a buff, so he's getting his supercharge rate increased back to what it was before the nerf. So if you guys were unaware, he received 2 nerfs, which really impacted him in the meta: his attack delay and his supercharge rate. So his supercharge rate got nerfed from 5 shots to 6. That's been reverted back down to 5 shots now. So all in all, this won't make Ziggy that much of a great pick. I mean, it might make him more of a viable late pick, unlike Hot Zone, for example, but I still think the meta's too fast for him. Next up, we've got a buff with Jackie. So a hardy hard hat star power damage reduction is going from 20% to 25%. So this might not seem like the biggest change in the world, but trust me, I think it actually makes a big difference. After testing it out, I think Jackie will be a bit better. I mean, not anything crazy, but in the past, years and years ago, when this star power was adjusted, again, only 5%, but you can tank a lot more damage. And especially, you think of even Kit in the gameplay, for example, Kit deals so much less damage to me. It's hilarious how many interactions can change through this star power. So I definitely think Jackie would be a great last pick option. Jessie's receiving another buff, this time to her turret damage. So the turret damage is going from 520 to 600 per bullet, which in most cases it won't actually be that impactful, but it's a decent buff. And if you're just using Jessie on heist to shoot the heist safe, of course, would be a lot better. But I think in pro levels, Jessie's turret rarely connects onto players. I mean, it might for the first few shots, and then the turret is really inaccurate. But it's another buff for Jessie where she's already pretty underrated. Klette is also getting one of her previous nerfs reverted, because before it would take 5 hits to get her super. Now that's been reverted back to 4. This is because Klette just really wasn't seen in pro play for a long time. She got a better use rate in East Asia, for example, in heist, but I think outside of that, yeah, she just was really just terrible since all the nerfs. So I think this would definitely put Klette back into the meta. Nowhere near as broken as before, but she's definitely back now. Janet is receiving another buff as well. She's slowly been creeping up in terms of her buffs, and this might be the one to finally put her back in the meta. Maybe, let's see. So her main attack damage is going from 2,000 to 2,200. So if you rewind back, I think 4 months, she received a big buff to her projectile speed, I believe. So it'd be easier to hit her shots with Janet. Now they pack more of a punch. I think Janet could be underrated in the next meta. Maisie is next on the buff list, and I think this is the one that's going to have the biggest impact for sure in the meta. So Maisie's projectile speed is being increased from 3,000 to 3,300. So this is crazy. Again, after testing it out, Maisie just taps. It's really hard to dodge a Maisie attack now. Before, it was very most of the time with Maisie, you'd have to shoot 2 shots in the same point just to land one of them. now you can deal a lot of damage, and honestly, you might even tinker with the other star power. Actually, it's still actually quite bad, but just because of how easy it is to hit a main attack now, I can easily see Maisie being like an AS tier brawler in the meta if this buff was to stay the same. Honestly, I'm a bit alarmed by it, and I would like to see a bit more of a nerf with this, because, well, less of a buff, because you just can't dodge it. You just can't dodge it. It's such a fast projectile now. So, yeah, Maisie has potential to be one of the best brawlers in the game with this buff. Clancy is receiving 3 buffs. The first one to his reload speed. So his reload speed is being reduced from 2,000 to 1,800. So he's just able to reload a lot quicker, which is going to be just allow him to win more gunfights, of course. And then you have his stage 2 that is being reduced. Well, actually not getting 3 buffs here, because stage 2 is being reduced from only needing 6 tokens to 5 tokens to get towards stage 2. So you're out of stage 1 a lot quicker, and then getting up to stage 3, it will take 3 more tokens in total. So basically what's going to happen after these changes, so Clancy's going to reload a lot more, so he's going to be a lot better in combat. He's going to get out of stage 1 a lot quicker, so getting into stage 2. He will stay in stage 2 a little bit longer as well, because obviously he's getting there quicker, and it also takes him longer to get to stage 3. But he will feel much nicer, because I think in this meta in particular, he's just stuck at level 1 forever, it seems. So this will be a great change to Clancy. He might actually be back and might be a bit more balanced. Bo is receiving a buff and a nerf at the same time. So Bo right now is probably getting towards the F tier. Well, he's like a D tier brawler, solid 1. He's not really used at all in pro play. But Bo is receiving a main attack damage buff going from 1,280 to 1,400. So that's a pretty decent damage buff. In the past, damage buffs have been pretty nice with Bo, but then as the metas go on, or even just literally like after a week, it tends to get outdated. So we'll have to wait and see. But to compensate for this main attack damage increase, he's getting a supercharge rate reduction by 8%. So going to take a little bit longer, like an extra shot to gain his super, but that extra damage is going to feel nice. Will this have the biggest impact in the meta? Probably not, but he might be an off-meta pick in Hot Zone again, perhaps. That's really about it. Eve is receiving 2 buffs, and this might shake up Eve a little bit, and especially make her a bit more of a viable option, maybe into other sharpshooters and knockout and bounty. But with Eve, her super is getting an increased hatchling. So right now, without the mythic gear, you will just spawn 3 hatchlings from your super. Now that's going to be buffed up to 4. So if you include the mythic gear on top of this, you can potentially spawn 5 hatchlings with every single super. So that's actually pretty good. Even though the hatchlings don't really get to the opponents and don't really do much damage, it will waste a lot of ammo, and it will allow you to establish a bit of control. So I think this is a nice change. And then her super charge rate from her super, so when the hatchlings actually get to an opponent and deal damage, it will recharge her super a bit faster as well by 17%. So I think these buffs could be nice. I mean, they're not going to make anything like a big change to Eve, but think about bumper up a tier and might allow her to be played on like Bridge Too Far and out in the open again. Those types of maps should be definitely more viable. So he's receiving 2 buffs. The first one to his utility belt gadget. The healing is going from around, I think it's like 900 per person to 1,200. So if you get 3 people, or you and your 2 teammates together, it's going to be healing for like 3,600, which isn't really a lot. And you've got to remember, with this gadget, you are taking out his pool gadget, which is like essential for Buster's kit. So yeah, after testing this out, didn't really feel the impact whatsoever. But his star power blockbuster, the extra damage bonus, is going from 15% to 20. I did notice the difference with his star power, but then you're also taking away a decent star power with his other one. I mean, I definitely think you could experiment with this one for sure, especially in the late game and knockout. Could be pretty decent. We'll have to test it out, but I don't think it's going to have the biggest impact for Buster in the meta. Tara is getting 4 buffs, and these are some buffs that I've been wanting for a long time. It feels like maybe 2 years. So it was either when a lot of brawlers got their universal health buff, so like a year ago, or it was when a lot of brawlers got the extra damage buffs. Like every brawler's getting extra damage, whatever it was. No, I think it was actually with the power increase. That was over 2 years ago. So when every single brawler in the game, there was a bit of more power in every single brawler level. But basically what I'm saying is Tara didn't receive this buff to her star powers and whatever else, so every brawler could deal more damage. Well, Tara's pets just got destroyed a lot easier, so both star powers are getting buffed. So her Black Portal Shadow health is going up by 600, and the damage it deals by 200. So the damage star power pet, so the one that chases after opponents, that's going to be a bit more tankier and deal a bit more damage if it approaches anyone, so it's nice. I just think it's nice that it has extra health. And then her healing shade, so the better one. And if you rewind back to when this used to be really good, this used to be really toxic to take down and actually could be like a half decent heal in behind. I really like this star power, and it's been buffed with his health from 3,000 to 4,000, and the healing is going from 400 to 600. So after testing this out, you can definitely feel the extra healing, and it stays alive for much longer. So yeah, I really like this change with Tara. I think this would definitely put her back into the meta. Melody is receiving 3 buffs, and one of them is pretty good and the other 2 are pretty pointless in my opinion. But her health is going from 7,600 to 8,000, which is a big buff. And I think if you rewind back to when she was nerfed health-wise, I think this is pretty much at the point, or maybe a little bit lower. So I think Melody, even in Heist, isn't exactly like anything great. Like, she's a low C tier brawler in the meta when you think about it. She's only really used to counter Kaze, and only a good Melody can really make an impact on the game. So she's been needing a buff for a little while. And then her perfect pitch star power gadget, is getting a buff. So it's going down to 10 seconds cooldown from 14. And it also the movement speed from it, you're gonna gain 35% extra speed instead of 25%. But I mean, perfect pitch does have some use case, like in some weird scenarios, but the way that you use Melody, the other gadget's still going to be better. I don't really envision this gadget still being that good. Next buff is with Lola, and this is probably the second one I'm most worried about. And I see if these changes happen, I definitely think Lola will be an S-tier brawler, probably along with Maisie as well. So her ego now matches Lola's movement speed, so it's going to be a lot easier to manipulate the clone, and you're going to be able to make it tank for you a lot more. It's just going to be way easier to pilot. So yeah, this is an insane buff for Lola. And then her ego health, by the way, her ego health now matches Lola. That's too much. That just has to change. That can't make it into the game. Again, after testing it out, I was just cycling clones over and over again, and I just literally felt like Thanos. It felt like Lola upon release, essentially. I know her damage was the main reason why she was so strong on her release, but she just has so much health. You just constantly, by the time that you've destroyed 8,000 health, well, you've got another super to deal with, or you've just got, you basically got 16,000 health points together. That is just insane to me. And then her hypercharged super bonus health has been reduced from 3,000 to 2,000. So her hypercharged super will have 10k health as well. Yeah, this is just way too much in my opinion. I think they're surely going to change this by just probably your guys' feedback, but also our feedback as well. This is just too much. It's just going to make Lola the best brawler in the game, or at least one of them. Leon is receiving 3 buffs to his clone projector gadget. So these buffs still aren't really going to do too much, but I'll walk through them quickly. So his attack range with his clone is being increased from 5 to 10. His clone damage is being increased from, I think it's 400 to 1,200, which again, it's just nothing. And then his clone projector movement speed is increased to match Leon's. Again, after trying it, it's just terrible. There's no point using this gadget. It needs a few more buffs. Well, actually way more buffs than this to make it vibe. toMaisey is getting a buff to his fidget spinner gadget. So the damage is going from 2,400 to 2,800 every single time it hits somebody, but I just don't think it really hits people that much. I think Dynamite needs more of a change than a lot of throwers do, but this might be okay, I guess. And the last buffs are with Hank and Shade. So Hank is getting a buff to his health. So he's being buffed by, I think, 600 extra health, which is quite great because, again, if you think about the universal health buff, which happened over a year ago, a lot of brawlers received buffs. I think it's set for Mina and Hank. So Hank's getting that buff. He's slowly creeping towards the D tier, so he's definitely needing that health buff. And then, I didn't want to show it, but Shade is receiving a star power boost to his, I don't know what it's called, spooky speed star. You're going to get 20% extra speed instead of 15. I mean, it's just a terrible star power anyway, so I thought I'd say it to you guys, but it's going to make a 0 impact. Now we're going to be moving on to the brawlers that have received a nerf, starting off with Ash. So Ash is a weird one. I don't actually like the way that this is designed. So Ash, his tank trait, supercharge, from taking damage is reduced by 15%. I don't think this really makes any sense in my opinion, because then his tank trait works differently to everybody else's tank trait. Why don't we just nerf the supercharge rate? I think I've already asked about that. Maybe that gets changed before the update, but if you should just nerf the supercharge rate, that literally solves the problem instead of the tank trait. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one in my opinion, but all in all, it has made a bit of an impact on him because then he's able to cycle his rats a lot less. Next up, we're receiving 4 nerfs to Thanos. I mean, Wendy. So Wendy, I still think after these nerfs will probably be the best brawler in the game, but hey, it is a good change. Any nerfs is appreciated at this point. But her supercharge rate is being reduced by 15%, so it's still gonna take 5 shots or some instances 4 shots and receiving a lot of damage to gain that super back. So I still think she's able to cycle super way too quick. But a good thing is that they've nerfed a lot of other things, like her supercharge from shield damage has been reduced from 50% to 30%. So when you shoot somebody, you get a shield on Wendy, right? Or you spawn with that 4k shield, you're going to get less supercharge through receiving damage there. So that's nice. I don't even know why that's a kind of a trait, to be honest, a bit of a weird one. But hey, at least it has been reduced. Her super shield health has been reduced greatly from 7,000 to 5,000. So that's a 2,000 health nerf. So honestly, the star power that gives you additional 2k health might just be the one you have to go with every single time, because 5,000 health on that super is pretty minuscule when you think about it. But also her super shield generated damage reduction has gone down from 75% to 60%. So I like these nerfs, definitely good directional nerfs, but I'm a bit scared because you think of Damien, you think of these brawlers in the past like Larry and Nory that have been so strong, and they literally take like 12 nerfs, 16 nerfs to make balance. I think there might have been like a few more extra nerfs to Wendy would have been welcomed, but hopefully she's still not Thanos. I still think she's going to be very strong though, and I still think after these she's going to be S tier easily. Where it is receiving 2 nerfs, and I don't think this is enough to take him away from the S tier personally. So his sushi snack cooldown is going from 12 seconds to 18 seconds, but the healing is still very good and you just spam it. And then you've got the health reduction, so from 7,600 down to 7,000, which is a big health nerf. But at the same time, I think the biggest problem with Nory is that he can charge his attack so quickly and he can combo damage so easily. So he's able to like deal like 5k plus damage in literally a flash. He's still able to get on top of the high safe or just in behind enemy lines way too quickly. So before they change either his damage or how fast his attack winds up, he's still going to be S tier. It's receiving 2 nerfs, and again, they're not really the directional nerfs that I anticipated with Meg, but again, they are appreciated. So with Meg, her toolbox gadget cooldown is going from 22 seconds to 25 seconds, so only an extra 3 seconds. I don't think that really matters too much because the actual gadget itself is broken. And then her star power force field shield reduction is going from 40% to 30%, so that's actually a good nerf, because I think once you popped out mech, you did, like, she felt way too tanky to take down. But again, I think the nerf that needs to happen is just mechanically something needs to change with toolbox. Whether it's the effect of the knockback is too powerful, you get like 2 knockbacks with 1, which is crazy. We spoke about this so many times. She gets back into mech so quickly. There's just something needs to change there. I don't care about the cooldown. Something needs to change about toolbox. Griff is next on the nerf list. And again, I still anticipate maybe 1 extra nerf with Griff, because I don't think this is enough to take him away from the top of the S tier. So his coin shower cooldown is going from 15 seconds to 18 seconds, so that gadget was a little bit too spammy, so good nerf. And then his supercharge rate from super is being reduced from 88 to 70, so I think this is mainly a balance change to stop his hypercharge super cycling. So that is a big problem right now with Griff. He's able to get a hypercharge and then he's just able to cycle multiple hypercharge supers. So that's a great change, but I still think he's keep the change the way that it works. Again, I think the spread is too much. I think the damage is too much, and he's able to cycle through supers just from his main attack too much. So something needs to change there. I think they need to revert the spread or nerf the damage or something. Something needs to happen with his main attack because he's just too easy to land shots with. He's such a consistent damage dealer. He needs a bigger nerf. Max is receiving 3 nerfs and 2 of them to both of her gadgets. So first off, we've got actually a hypercharge Buffy. The supercharge reduction is going from 7% to 6%. So whenever you hit someone with your attack when you hypercharge, you're going to give less super to your teammates. But I don't think that's the biggest problem with Max. Biggest problem is one of them, Sneaky Sneakers. That is being reduced from 15 seconds to 18 seconds in cooldown. And then Phase Shifter as well. The cooldown is going from 15 seconds to 18 seconds. So I still anticipate Max being an S tier brawler in the meta. She's still going to be super good. because I still think either Hypercharge Super needs a bit of a nerf or just her Supercharge rate in general. She just gets way too many supers way too frequently. So until she gets one of those two nerfs, she still will be S tier. Brawl is receiving a nerf, and this one is actually quite substantial. So his acceleration speed is being reduced by 15%. So you're just going around the map a lot slower. So you're a lot easier to hit whilst you're going around the map. You're a lot more manageable. But his maximum speed hasn't been reduced. So when you're getting additional speed from his super in particular, you're going to be able to still run through people and deal a lot of damage. So I still think Bolt would be a great last pick option. He just won't be anywhere near as toxic, I hope. So yeah, this is a great nerf to Bolt. Brock is receiving a nerf, and this nerf is going to be nowhere near enough to take him away from the S tier in the meta or a high A tier. So Brock, his Hypercharge Buffy bonus damage is being reduced from 60% to 50%. Well, not the bonus damage, you know, the 2 rockets on the end of his attacks, making it like a think shot. That's being reduced to 50%. I still think this needs to be reduced more, or they need to tighten the spread, or something needs to change mechanically about this Hypercharge Buffy because it's so broken. You could just save up all 4 of your attacks and just spam like crazy, and you end up just deleting everybody in your path. So yeah, until we fix that, he's still going to be at the top of the meta. Lumi is receiving a nerf to the amount of damage she gets when she recalls her attack. So normally it would be 1,800 damage. That's been reduced from 1,600. So this is something we spoke about for a long time with Lumi, because she can rack up a lot of damage quickly, especially because she's got the slow built in with her star power. So this is being greatly reduced. I do feel the impact with this. Again, I don't know whether it's enough to take away from the top end of the meta, but you can definitely feel this nerf. Rico is receiving 3 nerfs, so it's actually hilarious how wrong pretty much everybody was with these changes with Rico, myself included, and even a lot of pros. He actually got quite a bit better with his buffies, and he was like he was secretly like an S tier brawler in the meta. So his star power buffy, Robo Retreat, his maximum speed's going from 60% to 50%. So even though you rarely got down to like 500 health, you still, when you did get down to that 500 health, he was like pretty much unhittable. So yeah, this is a great nerf. You've also got multiple launcher cooldown going from 19 seconds to 22 seconds. I don't think this needed to happen. This gadget wasn't that good, but again, like a nerf to Rico's, appreciated. And then his bouncy castle damage has been reduced from nearly 2,000 to 1,800. So again, this is a nice change. I still think Rico's easily going to be like borderline S tier or high A tier in the meta. They still need to fix something a bit more with Bouncy Castle because it's so strong. And lastly, for the balance changes, we have Ruffs. So Ruffs right now is just such a solid brawler and has been for a while since they buffed his projectile speed, I believe. It's just made him way too strong. So his supercharge rate is being reduced by 20%. So you're going to be able to cycle supers a lot less frequently. But it's Ruffs at the end of the day. He's still able to hit attacks way too quick. Like, I think he even needs... I mean, this is fine for now. Maybe it power creeps him a bit more than we realize. But I still think he might need like an attack damage nerf, or maybe a bit more of a substantial nerf with his hypercharge rate or something. But for now, I think Ruffs will still easily be minimum A tier brawler inside of the meta. So that's going to be it for all of the balance changes, guys. So like I said, anything that you want changing or you think that's wrong with this list, please let me know down in the comment section below, and I will try and relay that to the team. But I think in terms of how the meta is shifting, honestly, I think a lot of these buffs and nerfs are pretty good. A lot of them are just like small ones, which I actually don't mind. But I think there's a couple of ones like Maisie and Lola that definitely need tweaking. And then maybe like harsher nerfs on Wendy and Nory. And then I think we should be at a good spot. Unless the buffies are very broken, which they're probably going to be, right? Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.